Hi, welcome back to Let's Chat. Today we're talking to Leslie Lovejoy, the Executive Director of Gold Country Senior Services. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you, Valerie. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
So, everyone knows that we have a large retirement population in Nevada County, and particularly Western Nevada County. And so it seems like Gold Country Senior Services would be a very needed organization here, and I'm sure you would agree. Why don't you tell me about what Gold Country Senior Services does in our community?
Well, I'm happy to. You're correct. Seniors make up about 37% of the population in Nevada County, and it's growing. As boomers retire, a lot of people are retiring to this beautiful county, and they're looking for things to do. Gold Country Senior Services has been in the county for 47 years. We started out with a senior center at the fairgrounds, and we did home delivered meals before Meals on Wheels was a program. And we did activities and travels and all the things that you usually associate with a senior center. And then for some reason, and this was way ancient history, that didn't happen, then Meals on Wheels moved to Old Tunnel Road at the senior apartments, and the activities pre-pandemic was at the Love Building.
Oh.
And then with the pandemic, everything of course shut down. And so we're in the process of reopening, but we want to reopen in a different way. We want to have a hub. We want to have a senior center again.
Yes, and you have made some recent strides toward a senior center, if I'm not mistaken. Why don't you tell me about that?
Sure. In 2020, in the beginning of a pandemic, we purchased the Summertimes building on Colfax in Grass Valley with the idea of renovating the building and then creating a senior center.
And that's very exciting.
Yes, we're excited about it. Nothing really happened during the pandemic except that we were able to demolish a little bit the inside while the county used half of it to do the COVID testing.
I went there a couple of times for COVID testing, I remember.
Yes. But the building now is pretty much ready for construction and putting in equipment for a brand new commercial kitchen. I don't know if you know, but we've been tasked or challenged with the pandemic to provide more meals. So we started off pre-pandemic with about 46,000 meals a year.
Wow.
And last year we did 145.
Oh my gosh, that's more than... That's triple.
That's triple. That's
more,
almost triple, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a word person, not a math person. But
yeah,
that's incredible.
That is. And thank goodness we had the CARES Act money, all the COVID money that came down in order for us to meet that need. So that is going away. And so we're trying to figure out what's normal going to be for us. And then building a commercial kitchen allows us not only to keep up that momentum, but begin to think about expanding capacity and doing other exciting projects in our kitchen.
Oh, and that is exciting. And, you know, you're always going to have a fresh crop of seniors because none of us are getting younger. So even if a senior center isn't something that someone might say, oh, that's not for me, give it time. It will be soon. And you'll be grateful that it's here.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we talk about senior centers, the past model was very segregated in that it was basically a place for just seniors to come. The new model, the new movement across the country is to create intergenerational community senior centers.
That is very exciting. I know that I read an article a couple of years ago about, I think it was in Sweden, they took the retirement home and the orphanage and they combined. I know that's a little more extreme than what you're talking about, but they talked about the great success that there was and quality of life and happiness for the seniors and the kids, because getting those groups together really fed fed their souls, and you learn so much from each other. Like the young people could teach the older people technology, and the older people could teach the younger people, I don't know, respect, or what the Depression was like, or what the 60s were like, depending on how senior that senior is.
Right.
That's a really exciting concept that I think the community should and will latch on to.
I think so. I think that it's really important for us to be a community and not have separate groups of people doing separate things. I think it's important for us all to come together. I will speak from my generation, which is boomers, and we have no interest in necessarily being seniors. Basically, we're active. We're going to live longer, we're healthier, we're happier, and we actually have more disposable income than any other generation.
Yes.
And so whatever senior center we create needs to be vibrant enough to attract us, what I would see in a senior center. Like, for example, doing lunch and learns on how to stay healthy, doing tech, as you said, tech classes, offering the opportunity for older adults who want to come in and stay in the workplace to learn skills, help them find jobs, because the trend right now is for us to go back into the work setting. Some of us have to, but a lot of us want to use our skills. We don't feel done.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that there'll be like fun stuff too, because when you think about senior center, I think about the one I used to have choir practice in the senior center, and it smelled like a hospital cafeteria, and it was very stark, and there wasn't a lot of like fun vibrancy, but it seems like that is something that you are really trying to build into it right from the beginning. This isn't your grandma's senior center. This is like the next, the new wave of senior center that is going to be fun and active, and just an enjoyable place to go.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be physical activities, there'll be dancing, there'll be entertainment and events, there will be bingo, all those kinds of things that are part of that. But there'll also be, it'll be much more energetic, and then there'll also be a place for us to begin to talk about the challenges of the aging process, and what are the referrals out there. What do I need to know about moving from one health insurance into another? What do I need to know about end-of-life care? What do I need to know about structuring my life as I progress towards maybe needing services? And all that needs to be there as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's wonderful to have that as a resource for people, not just for the social aspect, which is so important for quality of life, but also to kind of have a one-stop shop where they can get all of that information.
Yes.
And I know that the boomers, starting with that generation, are more willing to talk about things. There are like death cafes, and so it's not this something where you just don't talk about it, which was I think the silent generation really lived up to their name. They really didn't talk about anything. So it's really exciting to see kind of more openness about the aging process and end of life, and not looking at it as something that's like taboo and we don't talk about it, because then that leaves everyone in your life in a lurch when they don't know what you wanted. So I think that that's important, but just as important as like having dances and like social events. It's all part of the spectrum of life.
And I think the dialogue, the narrative around aging is changing. I mean, there is lots of stereotypical or mythical thinking about aging, and part of it is because of the culture we grew up in. And so it's really important for us to say, no, we're vibrant, we're active, we're healthy, we're engaged, we want to work, all of that, and that is what the culture of aging is. Did you know that this is the first time on the planet there are 4 generations on the globe at the same time?
That is exciting.
I mean, we're living longer. I mean, all these healthcare concerns are being pushed to later in life. So if you retire at 60, you've got good 20 years
Plus.
of what's next. You know, and I mean, we have some stereotypes about what's next. You go on cruises and those things, and yes, those are good things to do, but you don't just sit and dwindle.
Yes, and you know, going to a lot of events in Nevada County, this place in particular, you can really see the vibrancy of the golden years here. Like
Right.
at World Fest, for instance, you know, it's a sea of older people dancing for hours.
Right.
And it's one of the things that I love about this place, because I'm like, yes, that is how I want to spend my golden years. I don't want to be sitting in a sad place, like just waiting to die, which is
Right.
kind of that stereotype that you're talking about
stereotype, yeah,
before.
yeah.
You know, I want to dance and sing and like
Right.
twirl in the sunshine.
Right, and I have great experience to offer, and I'm more resilient, and I'm able to cope with life better
Yes.
because I have all this experience in my life in order to work from.
Yeah. So maybe shifting from senior thinking to elder thinking, because to me, like elder denotes like wisdom and
Right.
Okay, and just that phase in life where you're the person that they come to.
Right. There is a term out there called elderhood
Elderhood.
instead of senior, and basically it talks about the fact that elderhood is a staged process, just like adulthood, just like adolescence,
I love
just like
that.
childhood, and no one senior is exactly the same. And we all have different needs and different requirements for resources and engagement. And to, again, lump, like it's hard, it does disservice to adolescents to lump them into a group. It does a disservice to adults to lump them into one group. We're all very different.
We are.
And we have the ability to stay engaged for as long as we want.
That and you are going to give people the opportunity to do that. So it looks like our time is almost up, but before we go, how can the community get involved in this effort to build this wonderful, vibrant new senior center, or elder center, or whatever it's going to be called?
I think right now my most basic need is to continue to raise funding for the construction.
All right.
I definitely want community input on programs when it gets time. We want to open this year and have the kitchen done. So if people go to our website, www.goldcountryservices.org, you can look at the Senior Center tab. There's lots of different things on the website.
And I'm guessing people can also make donations on the website.
They sure can. And if they feel called to volunteer, we have lots of opportunities to volunteer.
And I'm guessing that they could also subscribe to your newsletter to find out
They
like
sure
what's
can.
happening month to month and get those updates.
They sure can.
All right.
We have a great newsletter.
You do have a great newsletter. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Leslie. It's always a pleasure, and I'm so excited for what you're doing for our community. As a future elder, I thank you. And as a current community member, I thank you.
Well, thank you too. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I am so glad to have you here. Make sure to go check out goldcountryservices.org and sign up for that newsletter, make a donation, check out what they're doing. It's really exciting stuff, because even if you're not a senior now,
You will be.
God willing, someday you will be. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.